Hey everybody, welcome back to Writing with Miss Maxie. I have missed you guys over the break. I hope you had a wonderful time and got to spend some time with your friends or your family. I hope you're well rested and ready to jump back into our writing. I know you might need a little refresher since we've had our break. So let me share my screen and we can talk about where we are in our writing process. So this is day 6 of our second lesson, writing a narrative. And let's look at our writing path. Remember Herschel, our friend Herschel, let's wave to him. So first we learned about what a narrative was. Then we read our assignment and unpacked exactly what it wanted us to do. Then we read our 2 source texts about Helen Keller, the first one with lots of words and the second one with lots of pictures. And we thought it through. We picked out special details and we filled out our charts. And now today we are ready to jump into step 4, which is to plan. It says, write time, plan your writing. Use the information you gathered from the text to write about what you know. All right, so are you ready? You ready to start planning? Give me a thumbs up if you are ready. Great, let's jump in. The materials you'll need today are your iReady writing book and a pencil, of course. And our I can statements for today. I can organize details to elaborate an event, and I can complete a sequence of events chart. All right, so take a minute and gather your materials. And we are opening up in our book to page 50. It will look like this. Lesson 2, writing a narrative paragraph. Step 4, plan. So today we are going to plan and organize our writing. We'll add details for the beginning, the middle, and the end of our narrative on a sequence chart. The sequence chart looks like this. So first, let's go over Ava's plan. It says, Ava made a plan before she wrote. She thought about how George became the plant doctor. So if you need a little refresher about Ava's paragraph, you can turn back to page 41. Page 41, that's where Ava wrote her paragraph, the plant doctor. Remember, we learned about George Washington Carver and how he fixed a woman's rose bush, and people started calling him the plant doctor. And then later, when he grew up, he helped solve farmers' problems all over the country. So that's what she is writing about in her plan. That's what she's referring to on page 50. Okay. Ava made a plan before she wrote. She thought about how George became the plant doctor. So she has her title here, the plant doctor. First, in her sequence of events. First, George became very interested in plants. He created a special garden. Then, a woman asked George to help with a rose bush. And last, roses covered the bush. George was called the plant doctor. So see how she has her time order words over here? First, then, and last, because they help us figure out the order or the sequence in which they happened, right? So charts like this one that Ava made can help writers think about what they want to write before they actually start writing. And I have a couple of questions for you about it just to make sure we fully understand. My first question for you is which box does the detail about George's garden appear? In which box does the detail about George's garden appear? Is it the first box, the then box, or the last box? You can pause the video if you need to. Whisper your answer to the screen. Right, it's in the then box that they're talking about his garden. Wait. The book says that it's in the then box, but I actually think it's in the first box because it says he created a special garden. But I guess the rose bush is a detail about the garden. So you could go either way. All right. Let's reread Ava's mentor text that I just showed you from page 41. We're going to reread it and think about the details that Ava included. So flipping back to page 41. Here we go. I'll read and you can follow along. The Plant Doctor by Ava Johnson. George Washington Carver was born in Missouri around 1864. George first became interested in plants as a little boy. He decided to create a special garden. He watched the plants and learned. "Show me how you grow," he whispered. Then one day, a woman asked George to look at a rose bush. "It won't bloom," she said. George moved the woman's rose bush into the sun. Soon, beautiful roses covered the bush. People began calling George the Plant Doctor. Later, when George grew up, he helped solve farmers' problems all over the country. All right, so hopefully you were listening for some details that Ava included in her paragraph. We're going to flip back to page 50 on the chart she made right here. And what important detail about George is missing from Ava's chart? What important detail are we missing in this chart? So we know George liked plants. A woman asked for help, and then suddenly the plant was okay. We're missing something here. What happened between when she asked for help and when the rose bush was better? Let's look back in our mentor text and see if we can figure it out. So here, a woman asked George to look at the rose bush. And here, beautiful roses covered the bush. So between there, she said, "It won't bloom," and George moved the woman's rose bush into the sun. Oh, okay. So that must be the important detail we're missing that I need to add to Ava's chart on page 50. We're going to add that detail to Ava's chart on page 50. All right, let's go ahead and write it together. George, moved it into the sun. Why do you think that Ava didn't include all of the details she wrote in her paragraph in her chart? That's right. She only included the most important details, right? She didn't need to write every single word, just the most important details, so she had an idea of how to organize her paragraph. Okay, so if you need more time to finish writing this down, feel free to pause your video, and then we'll keep going. We are turning to page 51. It will look like this, guided practice. And this is where we are going to make our own chart. Just like Ava did up here, we're going to make our own. So this will help us plan our narrative. Let's read the instructions. Use the sequence chart to plan your writing. Write the events for your narrative in order. Okay, so we can use our details from pages 48 and 49. Pages 48 and 49 right here that we filled out before break to help us complete our sequencing chart. We can also use our source text that we read before break as well. Remember seeing differently and a picture story to help us fill out our own charts. So if you're thinking back to our story, what happened first? What happened first? Take a minute, pause your video, write down what you remember happening first, and then we'll go over it together. So the first thing I remember was that Anne tried to teach Helen words, but Helen did not understand. If you wrote something similar, you should keep it. If you wrote something a little different, that's okay, but make sure it's close to the same idea, okay? And if you'd like to fix or edit your answer, you can erase what you wrote and pause the video and copy this down. We're going to do the same steps for then and for last. So then, after Anne tried to teach Helen words and Helen didn't understand, what do you think happened then? Pause your video, write your own answer, and then we'll go over it together. I remember then Anne took Helen to the water pump. She splashed water on Helen's hand and signed W-A-T-E-R in her other hand. That's what I think happened then. Again, you can pause the video, you can change your answer, or if you already wrote this, then great job, just leave it and we'll go on to the last part. I have to clear these so I can scroll down. Okay, what happened last in our source text about Helen Keller? What happened last? Pause the video, write what you think happened last, and then come back and we'll go over it together. At the end or last, Helen understood the word water. Anne and Helen went back in the house to learn more words. That's what I think happened last. So again, if you wrote something similar, then you can leave it. If you want to change your answer, pause the video. You can copy this down in your books. And that is pretty much all for our writing assignment today. But I do have one assignment for you to upload to Schoology. And let me show it to you. I want you to write a sentence telling how Anne and Helen felt at the end of the story. Write a sentence telling how Anne and Helen felt at the end of the story and upload it to Schoology. All right, that's it for our first day back in writing. I'm super excited to read your sentences and I will see you guys tomorrow. So bye.